Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to Always Receiving Nur weekly Quran study. We are continuing to study Surah Maryam, Surah 19, and Sister Yamina is leading us. And you're, as usual, welcome to join in with your comments and questions. So, without further delay, we'll turn to Sister Yamina to lead us in tonight's session. Jazakallah khair.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. So far, we've seen how in this Surah Maryam, Surah 19, how everything is a miracle, in the sense that it can only be the result of the divine command, be emitters. There was the birth of Zakaria alayhi salam, Yahya alayhi salam to Zakaria, to an old couple with a woman who never had a child before, a barren woman. And then the miracle of the birth of Isa alayhi salam, Jesus. And then it was understood that everything happens by divine will, whether we see it as it's unusual and therefore we perceive it as a miracle, or things that happen on a daily basis, and so we take them for granted and we think they are normal, ordinary. And in this surah, we've been reminded again to look at things in a new way, that everything is actually a miracle. And that the difference we make between them is very subjective, and is just anything that we call ordinary, or anything that we call miracle. If it happened on a daily basis, we will again call it ordinary. But if we truly pause and reflect on how it is connected to all the rest of creation and how it takes place, then we'll realize that only a comprehensive knowledge, a comprehensive power that has control over everything in the past and the future, and knows its interconnections and relationships to everything else, could bring that event, that thing, that being into being. And so we understood that things and whatever we, the so-called causes, we think that some things cause other things, is actually a faulty perception. It's a perception of ghafla, of a mindless interpretation of the world, because nothing created can actually create. All beings and things are created, and they do not have the power and the knowledge to create anything, not even the wing of a fly, as we're told in the Quran, or even a single atom, a single particle. Therefore, since nothing can create anything, and since the only creator is the one who has this all-encompassing knowledge and power and generosity and all the names you can uncover in the creation. Therefore, we can only ask for help from him, from our Rabb, the one who is sustaining life, who is sustaining all being. And nothing else can help us. Therefore, our object of worship can only be our Rabb alone. And that was illustrated with the case of Ibrahim alayhi salam, the father of Tawheed. Then we also pondered on the process of creation. The process of creation itself is how it makes tasbih and glorifies God. That's what another meaning of everything being an ayah, being a sign, reflecting the divine names of God. And so when we read and understand the signs and their language, and we participate into the divine speech, we participate into their tasbihat, and we start also glorifying God, and we become musabbihs, we become glorifiers of God, then we start seeing the face of God and his beautiful divine names in all events, in all things, in all beings, and that's the prelude to Jannah, the paradise. We get a taste of paradise before getting there. And those people who live in that state of consciousness are al-muttaqeen, they have taqwa. And when that taqwa is constant, they are constantly in that state. They here in Surah Maryam, they are called taqi, which is an intensive form of muttaqi. And that is how we said, that's how we follow the path of the messengers of God. Like from the beginning, we have many, but at the end, we have we've been reminded of some messengers of God, like Musa alayhi salam, Harun alayhi salam, Ismail alayhi salam, who all follow the straight path, we are told, which is also the path of blessings and rahmah that we also know from Surah Al-Fatiha. And this is the path that leads to Jannah, to paradise, which is also this surah's main theme. Rahmah is the main theme. And Jannah is where rahmah is reflected and manifested without any veils, clearly. So in Ayah 58, we've seen how we were told, okay, these were some of the prophets. Some of the prophets were listed and mentioned, and they were all mentioned for a specific reason to show us why it is significant and important to follow in their path. And we're told that they were all guided. God guided them. And because they followed the guidance, whenever the messages, the signs, the ayat of the Rahman, of the Most Merciful, were conveyed unto them, they would fall down and prostrate themselves and weep. Means they are overwhelmed with the awesomeness of the message and the beauty and the rahmah they perceive in everything. And so we said part of following the path of the messengers is also, like them, heeding the signs of the compassionate of the Rahman and learning to read everything in the name of our Rabb, like we're told in the first revelation of the Quran, اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. And it is then that we can find rahmah in everything. That rahmah that is going to manifest in many, many different names of God, all beautiful and all needed. But then we're told in the following ayah 59, they were followed, the messengers of God were followed by a generation who lost the prayer and followed their desires and appetites. And then they were met with utter dissolution, and we talked about how that works. But not everyone did that. There were those who repented and believed and did righteous deeds. So if we don't want to be of those who lose the prayer, lose themselves, and are will be met at the end, will be disillusioned at the end of everything, then we need to repent and believe and act on that belief, do righteous deeds. And those who repent and believe and do righteous deeds, they will enter paradise. And what is this paradise? We are told it's gardens of perpetual bliss. Like everyone longs for perpetual peace, perpetual bliss and joy. And so these gardens of perpetual bliss, which the most merciful, again, Ar-Rahman, and remember that Ar-Rahman, like a fourth of all the Rahman occur in this, are mentioned in this particular surah. The most merciful has promised unto his ibad, his servants, in a realm beyond the reach of human perception. And in that paradise, they will not hear anything like law, any empty talk or any frivolities, except illa salama, except peace. And what is also important, وَلَهُمْ رِزْقُهُمْ فِيهَا بُكْرَةً وَعَشِيًّا. And so here, normally in Arabic you say وَلَهُمْ فِيهَا رِزْقُهُمْ. But here رِزْقُهُمْ comes first, which means the sustenance, the fact that they are provided for is emphasized. And it's not only sustenance, they have sustenance. No, they have their sustenance. Because each one of us may have a different taste, a different need, a different emphasis. So don't worry about that. It's not like sustenance, it will be thrown out there in the middle. No, each one will have, there is this rahmah, this subtle care that each one will be taken care of personally in a special way, in the way they will be sustained, they will be satisfied. And bukratan wa ashiya, by day and by night, means day in, day out. It means constantly, all the time. And that's what we long for in this world as well. That's why the fact that everything is transient is so hurtful, that it actually makes us long for, and therefore look for eternity, for constancy, for permanent, for a source of permanent sustenance, permanent goodness. And that's how we come to find God. Otherwise, we will feel no need to look beyond what we see, beyond the creation. We would feel no need to look for the meaning of transience. So the transience, when it's looked from this perspective, it becomes itself a sign, an ayah bearing a message, a meaning from Ar-Rahman, a meaning of Rahmah, becomes the door to permanence. And then we are told this is, or that is, because it may seem far to us now, that is the paradise which we grant as heritage. It means nurithu, we bequeath unto those servants of ours that are conscious of us. Nurithu min ibadina man kana taqiyya. And so again, God consciousness is very, very important here. What is significant here is that paradise is not only a place thing. What I mean by this is, let's imagine a beautiful place with a beautiful scenery, and you put me there, but I'm blind. Can I benefit from such a place? Or I'm in a place with beautiful sounds and beautiful birds singing, but I'm deaf. Then for me, as far as concerned, whether they are singing beautifully or not, Whether the birds are there or not, I am not benefiting from them because I'm deaf. So here it's about spiritual blindness and deafness. And the key to the ni'mah, as we keep repeating, and as Imam Nursi teaches, is our ability to benefit from it. And so it is the case for Jannah, for paradise. If we are taqi, if we are God conscious all the time, then Jannah, then paradise is paradise. But if we are not, for those who do not have that taqwa, someone who doesn't have taqwa, you can put him physically in paradise, but for him, he will not be able to benefit from it because he doesn't have the abilities, the senses. He did not develop his humanity so that he can benefit from Jannah, from paradise. So that's what I mean by paradise is not only a place, it's also, and more importantly, a state of consciousness, a state of being God conscious, a state of living Bismillah, as we had mentioned before, an inner and outer state of being and doing and experiencing and living in the name of God, a state of seeing the face of God in everything and reading the ayat, the signs in creation, under the guidance, under the light of the signs of the Quran, the ayat of the Quran, and to see how they bear messages about the beautiful names, the beautiful divine names, meaning that everything in creation bears messages about God, about the unseen, about the Asma al-Husna. So when we are in that state, we're more likely to receive the meaning of the ayat in the Quran and in creation. The next ayah, which is 64, we're told, وَمَا نَتَنَزَّلُ إِلَّا بِأَمْرِ رَبِّكَ لَهُ مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِينَا وَمَا خَلْفَنَا وَمَا بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ وَمَا كَانَ رَبُّكَ نَسِيًّا. We do not descend except by your Rabb's, your sustainer,'s command. He owns whatever is in front of us and whatever is behind us and whatever is in between, and your Rabb never forgets. And that's actually, it's an idiomatic expression, which means he owns whatever lies open before us and what is all that is hidden from us, meaning everything, the seen and the unseen. It's used also in Ayat al-Kursi, يَعْلَمُ مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمَا خَلْفَهُم. That means everything, what is seen and what is unseen, what lies before us, so we're aware of it, and what we are not aware of. This ayah, 64, is usually interpreted as referring to the angels speaking, because it says, we do not descend except by your Rabb's command. Is there a question or? And if you remember, we had a similar situation when we were going through reading and listening to Surah Al-Ra'd, Ayah 11, was also, it had a word called لَهُ مُعَقِّبَاتٌ مِّن بَيْنِ يَدَيْهِ وَمِّن خَلْفِهِ. And most English translation rendered that ayah as meaning everyone has a succession of angels. Actually, mu'aqibat means something that comes immediately after another thing. Means something perpetually acting in succession, one after the other. But it's not necessarily, it does not necessarily refer to angels, but it was thought that angels were the one who came again and again. Therefore, the ayah was read as referring to angels. But then we saw that the moment we read it as referring to angels, first it didn't bring much new meaning, and it didn't bring light into what came before and what came after. But then we also saw that some of the early mufassirs, well, maybe not mufassir necessarily, but like Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, is one of the earliest commentators on the Quran. He took mu'aqibat as referring to all worldly things, and of course, every creation is ultimately related to angels. I'll come back to that, inshallah. But then when we read the ayah literally, without putting anything in the world, in that word, we just left it as it were, it was much more meaningful. So here we'll look first what we are told, like what the commentators say about this ayah, and then we'll go back. I am actually intending to tonight, inshallah, to only reflect on this ayah because of this relationship with angels, and because belief in angels is part of being a believer. And what we do usually is we just pass and take it for granted that we know what it is when we actually don't know, and how can we believe in something we don't know. And I'm not saying that today we will solve it all, but at least if we can have some clues, some things to reflect on, some small things that may help us, inshallah, reflect and pray for more guidance on that, on this topic. So in the case of 1969, we're told that, so 1969 is, 64. We're told then the angel said, we do not descend. So actually, the ayah says we do not descend. But most of the translations will say, the angels say we do not descend except by God's command, and he owns everything and never is your sustainer. Never does he forget. He never forgets. So we told that it was very difficult for the Prophet ﷺ to receive the weight of wahy of revelation, because it's not easy. Obviously, it's not easy to receive revelation. It's not only about the receiving, but the moment you receive it, you are also responsible for holding it and bearing it. Bearing it means you live accordingly. And also to receive it, you have to be open to receive that revelation. And we're told once when Jibreel alayhi salam came with revelation, the Prophet alayhi salam told him that he should come more often. And so this ayah was then revealed in response to that, meaning that this ayah, it is interpreted on some asbab al-nuzul, the causes of revelation, which are not always confirmed. We don't know if it is really it happened or not, because we don't always have confirmed hadith about it. In any case, so this ayah is said to have been revealed in response to that, and the we here is Jibreel alayhi salam speaking, Gabriel, the angel Gabriel. And why is he using we? Because when he delivers revelation to the Prophet ﷺ, we are told that he does not come alone. He comes with a host, with hosts of angels who are there to protect and guard, to protect the revelation, let's say. So this interpretation, I mean, it could be so, but since we go from the verse itself, in the verse, neither before nor after does it talk about angels. The fact will go, and also it does not bring light to us here and now, and it doesn't seem to connect to the message that has been communicated in the surah so far. And it's the ayah that just comes before, which is the first ayah before this, where the description of Jannah, of paradise, and the people who enter paradise are those people who repent and believe and do good deeds, and they are the God conscious. So what is the relationship with that? It's not clear. Why commentators said this was angels? It's because of the verb used there. The verb used in ayah 64, وَمَا نَتَنَزَّلُ, we do not descend. That verb is used in the Quran in connotation with the angels. However, it is also used in connotation with other things as well. So it is a sign, but it's not a sign to angels only, because if we had, whenever tanazzala is used, it's always used only in reference to angels, then we would have to say it's angels, and if I don't understand, I don't understand. But here, this verb, we look at the verb, is used in connotation to different things. And so if we think it's the ayah is referring to angels, it's okay. We just need to know a little more about angels so that we conclude that truly this ayah, from one point perspective at least, could be referring to angels. So we're going through how to use not ourselves as the point of reference, but the ayah, in this case ayah 64, as the point of the reference. And each word in this ayah is also a sign, is also guiding us to the meaning and helping us on the way. So this tanazzala, it's the fifth form of the verb that is derived from the root nazala. Actually, this words with nazala appear in the Quran 293 times, mostly referring to the Quran, to revelation, to the book. And tanazzala, particularly this form, refers to constant descent. It's not only descent, we constantly descend. And it implies recurrence, repetition, frequency, multitude, and continuity. And that's why it's not easy to translate, because you say, natanazzalu, we descend. But actually, it's not only we descend, it could be we descend all the time, constantly. It also could be that we descend, this we is a multitude, is huge as well. It's both in time and in quantity. So in the Quran, 97:4, in Surah 97, Ayah 4, we're told that the angels descend, something that you heard a lot. تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر. So the angels and the spirit descend by their Rabb's permission from all that may happen. And a very similar ayah is also used for angels again, but not with tanazzalu, which is the constant descent, but only nazzala. God sent, God causes to descend. He causes the angels to descend, or you could say send. But it's not sent in arsala, it's more like he sent down, let's say. And he causes, or he sent down the angels, he causes the angels to descend with the spirit at his command upon whomever he wills of his servant. So here we're told that God causes angels to descend upon his servants, upon people. Come to the God-conscious people, and they warn them that there is no God but God, and therefore be conscious of God. So they have a relationship with people, they are sent down, they are caused to descend. We are told, and that was in the B, Surah 16, the second ayah. And in Surah 41, ayah 30, we're told that, behold, as for those who say, our sustainer is God, and then steadfastly pursue the straight path, or the straight direction, ثم استقاموا. Istiqama is more like a direction. The straight path, sirat al-mustaqim. To those people, those who say, my sustainer is God, and then live accordingly. Not like I say it with my tongue, and then when you see me in my life, it doesn't seem like my sustainer is God. It seems like money is my sustainer, other things are my sustainer. Those who are sincere, those who are aligned, consistent in their belief and their claim, angels descend upon them. تتنزل, again the same verb, عليهم الملائكة, descend upon them again and again, constantly, this تنزل, unceasingly, saying to them, fear not and grieve not, but receive the glad tidings of that paradise which has been promised to you. That means someone who truly says, God is my sustainer, and lives accordingly, then he will be able to get the message in everything, that the glad tidings of paradise. In Surah 65, ayah 12, we're told that God's command also descends unceasingly. The ayah is, God is he who has created 7 heavens, and like them, he has created the earth. Through all of them descends down from on high, يتنزل, the same verb, unceasingly his command. He has created the 7 heavens and the earth, and through all of them, through all of his creation, his command, يتنزل الأمر, his creative commands, descends, the same verb, as it is used for the angels. So the angels descend, or are caused to descend. The divine command, be and it is, also descends.
Sister Yamina, could you share the verse reference again?
65:12.
Okay, thank you.
لتعلموا, so it descends, لتعلموا أن الله على كل شيء قدير. So this unceasingly, this creative command descends so that you may know that God has the power to will anything. وأن الله قد أحاط بكل شيء علما, and that God encompasses all things with his knowledge. So this power and knowledge appear again and again in the Quran because they are the first attributes that are needed for creating anything. Even Satan's descends, we are told, in ayah 26, Surah 26, ayah 221, we are told, shall I tell you upon whom it is that those Satans descend? They descend upon all sinful self-deceiver. تتنزل على كل أفاك أثيم. Sinful self-deceivers. So just like angels descends upon the believers, upon the sinful self-deceivers, Satan's descends upon them. The second form of nazala, which is nazzala, tatanazzalu is the same, but it has this constancy. Nazzala is to descend, to cause to send down, to cause to descend. It's also used not only for the angels, it's also used for the Quran, for the revelation, for the book, also for miracles, for water, for sustenance. So in Surah 15, ayah 8, we are told, we never send down angels otherwise than in accordance with truth. And were the angels to appear now, they who reject the truth would have no further respite. We are also told in Surah 6, ayah 111, that even if we were to send down angels unto them, so angels and send down is very often appear together in the Quran. That's why in that ayah, when they said we descend, everyone said it must be the angels. But I'm just looking to make sure that we know how these verbs are used, and we see that they are used for many things, not only the angels, although often they are used for the angels. In chapter 5, ayah 101, we're told repeatedly that the Quran is sent, the book is also sent. And in 5:112, we're told that in Surah Al-Ma'idah, that the Ma'idah, that's the surah is called after that. Usually in the commentaries, they write repast, which I'm familiar with because of the French, but I never heard it used in English. Maybe it's Old English, I don't know, which means meal, banquet. And remember, this is about the apostles when they said to Isa alayhi salam, "Oh Jesus, son of Mary, could your sustainer send down onto us a repast from heaven?" So the repast, the banquet, is also sent, the same, sent down. It is the same word. And Jesus alayhi salam answers them, be conscious of God if you are truly believers. And again, the believing in God and being conscious, they go together. We told miracles, if you remember, in many ayat before, but also in ayah 6. So they are not the only These ayats I'm quoting, they are not the only ones. They are just some that I am giving for reference to give us some kind of context. So in chapter 6, ayah 37, we are told, and they say, why has no miraculous sign? Actually, in the Quran, it just says signs. But from the context, we understand that these people are looking for a miracle. Why has no miracles been sent down onto him? Nuzila, again, in the passive form, but there's the same verb, from on high by his sustainer. And then the answer is, say that God has the power to send down, again the same verb, a sign, any sign. Yet most of them are unaware of this. They are unaware that he is sending, he's been sending, he is sending, that everything is a sign, everything is a miracle. And when you're not aware of that, you ask for a special miracle. And we also repeatedly told that God causes water to descend. And we're not said descend from the sky, descend. And we'll see why that is important. Sometimes it's from the sky, sometimes it's just descend. But what is important is that it is caused to descend. It is sent down. So we say, remember how this is chapter 8, ayah 11. Remember how it was when he caused inner calm, sakin, inner calm to enfold you as an assurance from him, and he sent down, or he caused to descend, he caused water to descend from the skies so that he might purify you. And again, in chapter 29, 63, if you ask them who sends down water, they will say this and that. In chapter 43, 11, we're told it is God who sends down again and again waters from the sky. And in chapter 50, ayah 9, we're told that we send down from the skies water rich in blessings. وَلَنزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً مُبَارَكًا, rich in blessings, and we cause by means of that water gardens to grow and fields of grain. And we're told also that rizq, sustenance, is also caused to descend. It is sent down in chapter 40, ayah 13. It is he who shows, it means it is God who shows his signs in creation, and he sends down sustenance for you. وَيُنَزِّلُ لَكُم مِّنَ السَّمَاءِ رِزْقًا, from the sky, but none bethinks himself. Okay. And even iron, we are told, is sent down, as is the book and the balance. In the same surah, which is Surah Al-Hadid, the chapter 57, is called after this ayah because iron is mentioned, and so the whole surah is called the iron. So we're told, indeed, we sent forth. Here the sent is not the same, it's arsalna. We sent forth our messengers with all evidence of truth, and we sent down, this is the anzalna, with the book and revelation and the balance, al-mizan, which means the balance to weigh right and wrong, so that people might behave with equity. And right after this, it says, and we sent down iron, in which there is awesome power as well as a source of benefit for people. And in regard to this ayah, a question was asked to Imam Nursi rahimahullah. So he was asked, iron is mined from the earth, so it's extracted from the earth. Why is it said in this verse that it is sent down rather than it is excavated or extracted? Isn't that inappropriate? Like, where is the balagha? Where is the eloquence of the Quran? And this is, I'm going to actually read here what he says, the translation of what he says, because he says it in another language. So he says, with the phrase "we sent down," the Quran recalls the important blessing, that it recalls the blessings within ayin, or the blessings that ayin is, because it does not consider ayin only for itself. Again, remember, ayin is something created, so it's an ayah. It is a ni'mah, it is an ayah, it bears a message. If we look at it on its own, it means in disconnection with its Rabb, with its maker, creator, sustainer, we won't understand its meaning. But here it says, because the Quran does not consider ayin only for itself, so that it should say extracted, but rather the Quran recalls the tremendous divine blessings in ayin and how needy humankind is for it. You can see how Imam Nursi always, when he says this is a blessing, he says humankind is needy for it, because were it not for our need, we wouldn't know it is a blessing. And so he says its aspect, the aspect of ayin being a blessing, does not come upward from below, but down from the treasury of mercy. The fact that ayin is a blessing, is a ni'mah, is a rahmah, that rahmah aspect, it does not come from the earth. It comes, that comes from divine mercy, and therefore it comes down from above, not from below. Metaphorically, it is a gift, it is given, it is sent down. So the treasury of mercy, he says, is certainly elevated at a high level. So the blessing descends from above, and needy humankind's level is surely below. It is we are the recipients of the rahmah, of the blessing, of the ni'mah. The bestowal, he says, of blessings is superior to need. So the correct way to express the fact that blessing comes from the treasury of rahmah, of mercy, to meet humankind's need, is we sent down. It is not we extracted. It's not, the Quran is not talking about how to mine iron or something like this. It's talking about the true meaning in ayin. And from this, we conclude that God sending something implies that it is a gift, it is his bestowal. So he sends water, he sends revelation, he sends the Quran, he sends the book, he sends water, he sends rizq, sustenance. It doesn't mean it's coming from a particular place. It means it's coming from his rahmah. It means they are his gift, his bestowal. It's a reminder for us to look at it from that perspective, the perspective of its connection to its Rabb, to its sustainer, our Rabb. And from that perspective, everything is sent down to us. Everything is sent down to us. Whether it is sustenance coming from the sky, like water, or from the earth, like food, they are all sent down. All of them are sent down to us from the treasury of rahmah, the treasury of mercy and generosity. And it is through this constant sending that we get to know our Rabb with his beautiful names as he describes himself in the Quran and in the books he sends with his prophets and messengers. And it is this way that we can confirm the truth of, I would call it verbal revelation of the Quran. Through the sending in creation, we can confirm the truth of the sending in the book, in the Quran. And through the sending in the book in the Quran, we can understand how everything is truly sent down from his rahmah, and everything reflects back that rahmah. And what is important here is that according to the Quran, what we've seen from just a few verses, it is not only verbal revelation. We've seen this last time, we talked about it many times as well. It is not only verbal revelation, Quranic revelation, or the books or the angels that are sent. Created beings, created events like water, iron, sustenance, and actually everything else are also sent. Because if you remember, the essence of creation, therefore the essence of being, is actually speech of God. He says, be. He says, be. This be is divine speech. God says, be, and it is. So the essence of being, of creation, of what we see and hear and smell and experience around us, is, they are all coming from divine speech, be. And that means that God speaks in the Quran. Let's call it verbal communication. And he speaks through creation, non-verbal communication. But both of them are speech. Both forms of divine speech are ayat, they are signs. That's what we told in the Quran. They all bear messages about our Rabb and his attributes and the realm of the unseen, alam al-ghaib. And so, if being, or when being is perceived, understood as speech, being the word of God, then we realize that it is also a form of revelation. If we had only the Quran, if we truly, we talked about it before, if we truly read the Quran, we have to read it in together with the creation, because that's what it refers again and again. And actually, right after 64, ayah 65, when it says, at the end of 64, it says, and your sustainer never forgets. And then 65 tells us who is our Rabb. Immediately it says, he is the sustainer, the Rabb of the heavens and the earth, and all that is between them. So worship then him alone. Remember, it's all about worshiping him alone, because we can have access to rahmah only when we worship him alone and nothing else besides him. Anything we worship besides him will be totally disillusioned, because it is false. It is not the truth. So subhanallah, we can only read the Quran together with the creation that it always constantly again and again referred to. And if we're reading the Quran and never going out into the creation, we don't feel the need to go out in the creation and reflect on the process of creation, then we are not reading the Quran. We're just reciting, going through, like we're not truly reading and reflecting. But when we do, then we understand that both of them are revelations, in the sense that both of them, creation being the signs in creation, or the creational signs and the Quranic signs, all carry meanings and messages from the unseen, and they all shed light on each other. The Quran helps us understand the meaning of the signs in creation, the signs of creation, because we experience them, because we see them, we taste them, we live them. They help us confirm the truth of the signs in the Quran, the ayat in the Quran. So even if we understand the verb نتنزل, we descend, in 1964 to refer to the angels speaking, we still need to know what the angels are, especially, it's important that because they are they are a necessary part actually of belief. So in any case, it's important that we get an idea about the angels. In Surah Al-Baqarah, which is the second surah in the Quran, in ayah 177, we are told true piety, al-birr, is not that you turn your faces towards the east or the west, but it is piety to believe in God and the last day and the angels and the book and the messengers. So believing in God, the last day, the angels comes third. See how important it is? And to spend of your wealth out of love for him, for your kin, for orphans, for the needy, because it's when you believe in all this, then if you truly believe, then you will spend of your wealth out of love for him, for your kin, for orphans, for the needy, for the wayfarer, for those who ask, and to set slaves free, to be steadfast in prayer and practice regular charity, to fulfill the contracts which you have made, and to be firm and patient in tribulation and adversity, and throughout all periods of severity. Such are the people who bear witness to the truth. Such are the God-conscious and muttaqun. Again, taqwa is so important. Taqwa is not only believe, but live with that belief and be steadfast and patient throughout tribulation, severity, never question, to have that trust and tawakkul. And again in Surah 2, in ayah 285, we are told the messengers and the believer. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون. The messenger and the believers with him, they believe in what has been bestowed upon him from on high. Again, unzila, what has been sent down upon him by his sustainer. They all believe in God and his angels and his revelations and his messengers. And it carries on. So you can see how this believing in the angels here, it became right after believing in God and in his angels. In Surah 4, Surah An-Nisa, ayah 136, we are told, "O you who have believed, hold fast onto your belief in God and his messengers and in the book which he has sent down upon his messenger," again, Anzala, "as well as in the book which he has sent down aforetime before him. For he who denies God and his angels and his revelations and his messengers and the last day has indeed gone very far astray." فَقَدْ ضَلَّ ضَلَالًا بَعِيدًا. He who denies God and his angels and his revelations and his messengers and the last day, he would have gone far astray. So this belief in the angel is so important. And of course, we know that the angels are part of the creation, the story of the creation of Adam, which is also the creation of each human being. And in Surah Al-Baqarah, the beginning, especially 30-34, we told how your Rabb said unto the angels, behold, I am about to establish on earth one who shall inherit it. And then the angels questioned that, and then he told God, Adam the names, and then he brought all the angels, he brought them within the ken of the angels and said, tell me the names of these, if what you say is true. The angels replied, limitless, you are in your glory, we have no knowledge except that what you have taught us. And then God says to Adam, O Adam, tell them the names. And as soon as Adam told the names, God said, did I not tell you that I alone know the reality of the heavens and the earth? And so he tells them, and then we told the angels, prostrate yourselves before Adam, and they all prostrated themselves except Iblis. And in many, many places in the Quran, this story is told from different perspective. But in Surah Al-Hijr, Surah 15, Ayah 28 to 30, we're told the story from the each human being's perspective. And so again, we told, Allah, your sustainer, said unto the angels, behold, I am about to create a mortal human being out of sounding clay. Not Adam, a human, Basharun, out of dark slime transmuted. And when I have formed him fully and breathed into him of my spirit, fall down, prostrate before him. Thereupon the angels prostrated themselves, all of them together. So the story is told, and in Surah 7 as well, Surah Al-A'raf, we're told how we created you, and then we are told the story of Adam. So if we recognize the angels and we relate to them according to the purpose of creation, their purpose of creation and our purpose of creation, because both of our purpose in creation are very intertwined from the way we are created. They are there with us from the beginning. They prostrate. They send messages from God to the believers, and they are part of who we are. That's what this story is telling us. Then we will find lots of things to be grateful for, to be grateful to our Rabb. And for that to happen, we need to appreciate the connection between the angels and the process of creativity, the process of creation, or at least the creative command, be and it is. We are told in the Quran that the bearers of the command, be and it is, are the angels. So from this perspective, we see creation from the perspective that looks to the creator. There are angels that are fulfilling the command, bearing the command. And when that connection between the angels and creation becomes clear, or the clearer it becomes, the more we'll be able to relate the creation to the creation as signs bearing messages. We will be able to understand their glorification and participate in them. Or I can say it the other way around as well. The more we live with the consciousness that everything is a sign and everything is glorifying their maker, then it becomes easier to understand. I don't want to say understand only, to be aware, to be conscious of the angels and the angelic aspect of everything. And it will become easier to see the face of God in everything. And with that consciousness, we will focus more and more on peace and disregard more and more the empty, frivolous talk, and we will be ready to enjoy paradise. Paradise was described as that place where there will be only peace and people won't hear anything, any empty talk. And so in the Quran, we told that the angels are messengers. We told in chapter 22, ayah 75, that God chooses message bearers, like messengers, rusul and messengers, from among the angels as well as from among people. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ. For behold, God is all hearing, all seeing. So just like, remember in Surah Al-Ra'd, we discussed why some people cannot accept that. They say, how come? Like a person, a human being like me, is communicating with God and bringing a message from God? Can't be, because they cannot relate the created with the creator, because they see them as totally disconnected. And that's, we see, it feels like that when I myself feel disconnected from my creator. But when I am aware of my being sustained, that's why Rububiyyah is so important. Here and now, that my breathing, my life, everything is being given to me right now, being sent to me right now. That's why there is this continuity in form in the Quran. Then I won't say, how come a human being is receiving messages from God? He can't. Therefore, if there were a messenger, it can't be a human being. Well, the counterpart of that in the creation are the angels. Just like we receive the revelation, the Quranic revelation, the verbal, the book revelation, the verbal communication of God through human beings, the messenger, we receive the revelation, the meaning, the same meaning through the creation, through the angel messengers. In Surah 35, the first ayah, we are told, Alhamdulillahi fatir as-samawati wal-ardi ja'il al-malaikati rusula. All praise is due to God, originator of the heavens and the earth, who causes the angels to be messengers, to bear messages. We are told that they glorify God and they ask forgiveness for those on earth. In chapter 42, ayah 5, we are told the heavens are they are about to be rent asunder from awe of God, and the angels extol their sustainers limitless glory and praise. يُسَبِّحُونَ بِحَمْدِهِ. They make tasbih and praise him and ask forgiveness for all those who are on earth. Truly God alone is true, forgiving, Ghafurun Rahim, merciful. And angels bear witness to La ilaha illallah. So God himself bear witness. This is chapter 3, ayah 18. God himself bears witness. And so do the angels and all those who are endowed with knowledge. So people with knowledge also participate in this. That there is no deity except him, the upholder of equity. There is no deity save him, the Almighty, the truly wise. شهد الله أنه لا إله إلا هو والملائكة وأولو العلم قائما بالقسط لا إله إلا هو العزيز الحكيم. Twice they say. The first one is لا إله إلا هو. There is no God but him. He is the upholder of equity. There is no God but him. He is the Almighty, the truly wise. And not only human beings do that, but God himself and the angels also. And of course, the angels, I don't want to go, don't know if I have time, but this ayah is just so beautiful. it says God and the angels, because how do I know that God himself bears witness? Because I look at the creation and everywhere it bears witness to La ilaha illallah. And it doesn't say La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illahu, because in the beginning we start getting to know him through his attributes one by one. But how is it possible for me to see that in the creation? Because of the angelic aspect of creation, because the creation is not only what we see, is not only the physical, but there is also the meaning part, the aspects that looks to God, the aspect that bears the divine command, which looks to the angels. And that's why it says God himself and the angels bear that. And those who know, those who look with that consciousness, that awareness to the creation, because I cannot reach God without actually seeing the angelic part first, the angelic aspect of creation first. That's why it is part of belief in God. And that's why if you don't believe in we're told if you don't believe in the angels, you cannot, our belief in God would be deficient, won't be complete. The angels execute the divine command, so we are told they do not disobey God in whatever he has commanded them, and always do what they are bidden to do. In chapter 66, at the end of ayah 6. So they do not disobey God in whatever he has commanded them. He tells them, be, that's it. Whatever he says, they become. They prostrate to God and they obey his command, we are told in chapter 16, ayah 49. For before God prostrates itself, all that is in the heavens and all that is on earth. What does it mean? Like color, every beast that moves, every being that moves, and the angels. Every being that moves, I understand it, that everything that we see, and the angels, they are the part that we don't first see, but that's there, just like, let's carry on. They also, angels convey God's messages onto the believers. We saw that before. And in chapter 8, ayah 12, we told your sustainer has inspired the angels to convey his message to the believer. I am with you. Before it was, do not grieve. You have paradise is for you. Here it is for those who are consistent in their claims, lived accordingly. Here it says, I am with you. Inni ma'akum. I am with you. Inni. And he commanded the angels and give firmness. فَثَبِّتُوا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Give firmness unto those who have believed. It means with those words from me, from I am with you, give them firmness. You feel the closeness to God. How do you feel it? Because the angels will communicate with you. Because you're already open to seeing the angelic aspects of everything. So the more we live from the spirit, the more we will communicate with other people at the spirit level. We won't see them as status, as bodies, as color, as age, as gender, as titles, as brand of clothes, as we will see them as who they truly are, because all that, we are not our bodies and titles and things. Those are like your home, like your house, like they come and go. We are the conscious part, the spirit there. And so when we live from the spirit, we interact with other people at that level. And we interact with the rest of creation at that level. It means it's the angelic level. And angels carry the divine throne, we are told in the hadiths. And we talked about the throne of God in Surah Al-Ra'd. It's the throne of His almightiness. It's the throne of where His divine attributes can be manifested and seen. And there are many, many verses in the Quran that describe how Rabbu Samawat, the sustainer of the heavens and the earth, is the Rabb of the Al-Arsh Al-Azim, is the sustainer, the Lord of the throne of almightiness. And so from those, I won't go through them because there are a bunch of them, but it's clear from those verses that the throne of almightiness is related to the creation. That's why we are told Rabb. The Rabb of this and this is also the Rabb of the Arsh. So the angels, they carry God's throne of almightiness, which means it is through the Malakut aspect, the angelic aspect of creation, that we humans can realize God's almightiness and prostrate to Him in gratitude and awe. That's what I understand, or I understand from not directly, but also from what I learned so far in literature about the Quran, that when we say that the angels carry God's throne of almightiness, as we are told in the hadith, Hammalatul Arsh, then it is through the angels, through the angelic aspect of creation, that we can realize God's almightiness, and so we can prostrate to Him in gratitude and in awe. And like we humans are spirit dwelling in physical bodies made of clay, so are all beings. They have a physical aspect known in the Islamic tradition as mulk. What we see is the mulk, and the other non-physical aspect, the malakut, the angelic aspect. And that's why we are told in the hadith, just like we are made of clay, they are made of light. But just like the clay is only our bodies, light is also, let's say, their physicality, but they are not only light. They are bearing the divine command. They carry the divine throne. So we look at for instance, a physical scenery, and what do we feel there? We see something physical. We feel in our heart the beauty, the art, the meanings it relays, and we appreciate them. So there is something more than the physical. There is some meaning, art, beauty. And that is our interaction. That means that our interaction with the world is not only physical, and it's not only one-dimensional. And that aspect of creation that bears the tasbihat, the glorification of God, that aspect of creation that reflects the beautiful divine names, that is the aspect that's called the malakut, the angelic realm. And so in the hadith, maybe I mentioned this before because it's a beautiful hadith, something really to stop and think about. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, Inna Uhudan Jabalun yuhibbuna wa nuhibbuhu. Truly, Uhud is a mountain that loves us and we love it. And I always, I'm always amazed that this hadith is so short and so beautiful. So we love Uhud It's okay, like we are used to saying we love this, we love that. How about Uhud loves us? How is that possible? How can Uhud, a mountain, and especially this mountain, you've probably seen it on television. I think it's not like it's full of trees or something. No, it's just, it looks like just rocks. What is this rocks loves us? Because it has a malakuti, an angelic aspect to it. Do we say, when we say, my friend so and so loves me and I love her, we're not talking about the flesh and bones. Maybe someone you've never seen and you only write to each other, or only you heard each other's voice, you speak to each other on the phone, and you can connect and relate to each other and love each other. It has nothing to do with the flesh and bones. And so we can truly love Uhud, Bismillah, in the name of God or any other creation, only to the extent we are aware of its angelic aspects. We are aware of that aspect that looks to God, that looks to his divine command, which sustains it constantly. And so we can see how it's loving us. Bismillah, it loves us. Just like Bismillah, we love it. And accordingly, we can understand this ayah 64, we do not come down except by your Ram's command, to be referring to everything, because everything is happening by God's will. Everything is being sent by him, and therefore everything is meaningful, everything is purposeful. And if we want to interpret this as referring to the angel, that's okay, as long as we make it clear that they are the angels that bear the divine command. Is Gabriel salam included? Sure. So that interpretation is okay, but it limits the scope of the ayah. Jibreel alayhi salam is included, all the angels are included. Everything is included because everything has an angelic aspect to it. And so the angels here would be the angels that bear the divine command in all creation, in every creation, as the God conscious who are made to inherit paradise. No, they know this. That's why they are made to inherit paradise. Because if someone is not aware of this, even if you put him in paradise, it's not paradise for him. It's like someone blind in a very pretty, beautiful place. Because the God conscious, they always see the malakut, the angelic aspect of everything. It is that aspect that looks to the divine command. It is that aspect that looks to the divine names. It is that aspect that looks to the unseen, to akhirah. It is that aspect that looks to the glorifications of God. Otherwise, how can a tree, if we think it's only the wood, how is it making glorification? It's like an alien coming from another planet and looking at human being and thinking, oh, these are all bones and flesh. With bones and flesh, how can they go around and interact meaningfully? And there must be something else. You're missing the whole point, which Iblis missed when he did not want to prostrate to Adam. What was his excuse? He said, you created him from clay and you created me from fire. True, but totally incomplete, and therefore sometimes half a truth is worse than a lie, because it's after God says, I breathed of my spirit, that he says to the angel, prostrate. And in another instance, it's after he says that I taught him the names, and the names, Adam can only learn the names and receive the knowledge of the names through the breathing of the spirit. It's only after after that the angels are asked to prostrate. They are not asked to prostrate to the clay. And so it is, the more we live from the Spirit, the more we are aware of the Spirit in us, the more we will be aware of the angelic aspect of everything, the Malakut in everything. And the more we will live with as God-conscious people. And the more we will communicate at that level, at the angelic level, and we will more and more understand their words and their tasbihat. And our understanding of their tasbihat will make us, like the prophets, weep and in awe and prostrate and participate in those tasbihat. We cannot practice the tasbihat except to the extent that we witness the tasbihat and we reflect them in our life. The tasbihat all around us. And so when he says, we do not come down except by your Rabb's command, he owns everything, whatever is in front of us, whatever is behind us, everything. It means, and your Rabb never forgets. And we will, inshallah, next week go with what does your Rabb never forgets, and then who is this Rabb? He is the sustainer, the Rabb of the heavens and the earth. Rabbus samawati wal ardi wa ma baynahuma fa'budhu. Therefore worship him alone and remain steadfast in his worship. And هل تعلم له سميا? Do you know anything whose name is worthy to be mentioned side by side with God? Do you know of anything that's worthy to be worshipped or that's worthy to be asked for help? No, nothing. So why is our heart still attached to frivolous laghu, to things that have in themselves they have no value? Otherwise, as creatures, everything is very valuable. I will stop here. I didn't want to just say, okay, it may be the angels, it may be everything else. And then, because if we do that every time, we will never be able to get a glimpse of what these angels are and why, therefore, is it so important to believe in God and the angels. And when we don't believe in God and the angels and etc., why will we be going astray? And also to see the link between belief in God and belief in the angels, how they're very related to each other. It's almost like, in order to believe in God, you have to believe in this and this and this. Otherwise, it will be incomplete. So I felt a need to remain on this area particularly. And you can see how it is connecting us back to the worship of God alone, and how the worship of God alone is what gives us that paradise state. I said there is the paradise place and the paradise state of being. And you can put me in the paradise place, but if I am not in that state of paradise, I'm not prepared, I am not seeing spiritually, paradise seeing, feeling, hearing, I will not benefit from it. So in this area, in order to understand, to get a glimpse of 64, only those who are in the previous ayat, which is 60, well, it started at 59, no, at 60, those who repent and believe and do righteous words, they enter paradise, and then paradise is described, and then we are told this is the paradise that we bequeath to our servants who are God conscious. So those servants who are the God conscious, they are the ones who understand and feel 64. Whether you say it's refers to angels, but it can't be only Jibreel alayhi salam. Because if you understand Jibreel alayhi salam, he is the one who brings revelation. What does it mean? It means he's the one who bears the meaning of everything. Because there is revelation, there is a meaning not only in the words of the Quran or any book that's coming or scripture coming from God, but also the whole creation. The whole creation is bearing messages according to the Quran. So when we understand this way, we'll understand that 64 is not only 64, but particularly 64 in this, our particular context. It becomes clear to those who are in that state of paradise, that state of God consciousness. Otherwise, you'll be like, you say, okay, the Prophet ﷺ, they said, he said to Jibreel, why don't you come often? And then Jibreel answered, we only come by God's command. Okay. And so everything comes by God's command. That's true. So it can't be wrong. But if we take it only to that case, then it will mean nothing. And not only it will mean nothing, it will be like some Orientalists, the way they read it and say, oh, the Quran is not as wise as they say, like speaking about one thing and then speaking about something totally irrelevant. But they are all very relevant. Not only that, not from ayah to ayah in the same chapter, from chapter to chapter, as we've seen so far. Look always at the end of one chapter, at the beginning of the next one. They are always related. Each chapter is like a tafsir, commentating, making clear whatever was made clear in the previous chapter. SubhanAllah, it's just so beautiful. And so here, we'll stop. But you can see that from the beginning, it's about Rahmah. And that Rahmah is only accessible when I am aware that only God is my helper, only God is my sustainer, only He is the source of all what I need, all goodness, all beauty, all compassion and generosity. Whenever I'm not aware of that, I will go and look for it in other places and I will be disillusioned. Therefore, the key to Rahmah, the key to paradise in this life and the next is that God consciousness, and not only knowing and being aware of that, but living accordingly. Because when we don't live accordingly, that knowledge, that information will not serve us. And so we were given all the examples of the prophets. And at the very beginning, the miracles were put there also to emphasize God's power and knowledge, and that He alone is the creator of everything. He can create with be and it is, with whether the mother is young or old, whether she is barren or not. When God doesn't give her a child, we say she's barren. And when she has a child, we say she's not. If she's old, we say, oh, it's a miracle. He can create a child with a mother and father, with only a mother. When we look at the creation, there are so many different ways of creating. God doesn't create all in one way. And that's all to show us that he's not bound by the order. The order, sunnatullah, is only the way he creates. It is supposed to reflect his power and knowledge and all his divine names, not to be a veil onto them, not to for us to mistake the order for the creator. He creates in orderly fashion. And so all this is about and about how to live without Tawheed and whose path to follow. Those who are guided, those who saw the signs of Rahman in everything. And how do we see, when we see the signs of the Rahman, the signs of Rahman in everything, we will be fit for the state of paradise. We'll be fit to inherit the paradise, inshallah. And we want to get ready for that, because otherwise, even if in the next life they put us in paradise, we won't benefit from it. So, inshallah, we want to acquaint ourselves with the angelic aspect of everything. And for that, we need to live from the spirit, from the heart and the spirit. And to live from the heart of the spirit means to live consciously. That's why consciousness is so important. And that's why ghafla, we're told in the Quran and again that it's we'll pay the price for that. It seems like we're no responsibility, but like, who wants to live irresponsibly, especially when the consequences are eternal? So, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah al-azim, الكريم الرحيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم نتوب إليه سبحانه. اللهم اللهم اجعلنا عند النعماء من الشاكرين وعند البلاء من الصابرين ولك في جميع أمورنا ذاكرين آمين والحمد لله رب العالمين. It's a beautiful dua. It says, oh God, make us before your blessings among the grateful, and before your bala, tribulation, of the patient ones, and make us of those who remember you in all states, in all of our affairs. Ameen. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair, Sister Yamina. Thank you very much. It's already 10:15, so but if anybody has a pressing comment or a question, we can take a couple minutes. Okay, so then, people are noting there.
Thank you so much. Salam alaikum.
Thanks. Okay then, inshallah we stop here and we hope to meet tomorrow. Next week. Assalamu alaikum.